Back. Hello, welcome back. Today's topic is about North Shua Multiport Railway Corridor 25-year roadmap implementation plan. Planning horizon 2026 to 2050, divided into 5-year implementation intervals. The roadmap treats Debre Berhan as the North Shua logistics hub, connected progressively to the national railway system and, subject to feasibility and international agreements, to Djibouti, Berbera, Port Sudan, Eritrean ports, Lamu and Mombasa. Period phase main activities priority infrastructure key output/milestones indicative funding focus 2026-2030 phase 1 planning and preparation establish project authority detailed feasibility studies traffic and cargo demand studies engineering surveys GIS mapping environmental and social impact assessments political and cross-border studies financing strategy ST AC holder consultations Debre Berhan Railway Hub concept preliminary Debre Berhan, Addis/Shajar Adama alignment, DRIPO. RT Master Plan feasibility studies completed, preferred corridors selected, preliminary designs, ESIA/SIA completed, land and institutional FR. Work established government, development banks, PPP preparation, grants 2031-2035 phase 2, design, finance and early cons. Truction detailed engineering design, land acquisition, procurement, financing agreements, contractor selection, workforce training, local material prod. Auction capacity Debre Berhan logistics/Dryport hub and priority railway connection toward Addis/Shajar, Adama financial close, construction contracts signed, land acquired, Dryport construction begins, local railway work. Force established public investment, concessional finance, PPP. 2036, Phase 3, Core Major Earthworks, Bridges and Debre Berhan Rightward Arrow Core Railway Government Plus. 2040 Railway Construction Culverts, Track Construction, Stations, Signaling, Telecommunications, Electrification where adopted, Environmental Mitigation. Addis/Shajar Rightward Arrow Adama Trunk Connection. Substantially completed, Debre Berhan Terminal operational or commissioning, connection to National Railway Network. International Finance plus PPP. 2041-2045 Phase 4, Eastern and Northern Corridor X. Pension increase freight capacity, establish international railway agreements, customs integration, port coordination, construct/advance high. GIST priority international branch Djibouti and/or Berbera corridor, assessment and development of Port Sudan/Northern Co. Reader first major additional international gateway operational or substantially advanced, intermodal freight SE. Services expanded regional/international financing, PPP, port partnerships 2046-2050 Phase 5, multi-port integration and 2050 COM. Lesson develop remaining economically justified corridors, integrate railway, dry ports and logistics platforms, digitalization, automation, climate resilience upgrade. AIDS, network optimization Port Sudan, Eritrean and Kenya corridors, according to feasibility and political conditions integrated multi-port railway network, diversified maritime access, mature Debre Berhan logistics hub, 2050 performance eval. UAsian PPP, commercial finance, reinvestment of railway revenues 2050. Final evaluation and next. Genera. Shan independent technical, economic, environmental, social and governance evaluation entire North Shua multi-port system 2050 objectives measured, lessons learned, post-2050 expansion strategy prepare. Add reinvestment and long-term infrastructure finance. 1 5-year detailed implementation matrix. Year planning and governance engineering and construction economic and logistics social and environmental target result. 1 2026-2030 establish North Shua Railway Program Authority. Route surveys and preliminary engineering. Cargo demand and economic feasibility studies. ESIA, SIA, Community Consultations Investment Ready Master Plan. 2 2031-2035 Procurement and Financing Agreements. Detailed design and early works Dryport and industrial zone planning. Land acquisition and livelihood restoration financial close plus construction commencement. 3 2036-2040 construction governance and independent supervision. Core railway, stations, bridges, signaling and terminal. Begin freight/logistics operations continuous environmental and social monitoring. Debre Berhan connected to National Railway System. 4 2041-2045 cross-border agreements and corridor governance. Eastern/Northern corridor construction or upgrading. International freight and customs integration. Regional community benefit programs, at least one additional international gateway substantially operational. 5 2046-2050 multi-country network governance, remaining priority corridors and capacity upgrades. Integrated multi-port logistics network, climate adaptation and cumulative impact management. 2050 multi-port railway network. 2 corridor prioritization roadmap, priority corridor implementation window, reason for priority. 1 Debre Berhan rightward arrow Addis/Sharjah rightward arrow Adama rightward arrow Djibouti 2026 to 2040 builds on the existing Addis Djibouti railway system. 2 Debre Berhan rightward arrow Woldia rightward arrow Medema rightward arrow Port Sudan 2031 to 2045 creates a northern alternative and strengthens regional trade. 3 Debre Berhan rightward arrow Adama rightward arrow Dire Dawa rightward arrow Aisha rightward arrow Berbera 2035 to 2045 provides another Red Sea/Gulf of Aden gateway for De Bre Berhan rightward arrow Woldia rightward arrow Mikel rightward arrow Massawa 2040 to 2050 potential northern maritime alternative. 5 Debre Berhan rightward arrow Adama rightward arrow Afar rightward arrow Asab 2040 to 2050 strategic Red Sea diversification subject to feasibility. 6 Debre Berhan rightward arrow Adama rightward arrow Moyle rightward arrow Lamu 2040 to 2050 Kenya/Lapset diversification. 7 Debre Berhan rightward arrow Moyle rightward arrow Kenya rightward arrow Mombasa 2045 2050 plus long distance alternative requiring major investment. Important, the lower priority corridors should not automatically be constructed. Their implementation should depend on updated feasibility studies, freight demand, financing, environmental/social assessment, security conditions, and agreements with neighboring countries. 3 key performance targets by 5-year period indicator 2030, 2035, 2040, 2045, 2051. Master plan updated final evaluation. 2 feasibility/design 100% priority studies 100% priority designs expansion studies remaining corridor studies post 2050 plan. 3 Debre Berhan logistics hub design construction operational expanded major regional hub. 4 core railway connection survey/design construction operational/commissioning capacity expansion fully integrated. 5 international corridors feasibility agreements first corridor development multiple gateways multi-port network. 6 FR 8 services pilot planning preparation initial operations major growth mature network. 7 digital logistics design procurement initial deployment integrated advanced digital network. 8 local skilled workforce training begins growing established expanded mature railway workforce. 9 environmental monitoring baseline construction monitoring operational monitoring cumulative assessment 2050 environmental audit. 10 social monitoring baseline resettlement monitoring community benefit monitoring impact evaluation final social evaluation. 11 safety system framework construction house operational safety continuous improvement international standard system. 12 financial sustainability financing strategy financial close revenue begins operating optimization long-term sustainability. 4 implementation governance level institution/function main responsibility. 1 national federal transport/infrastructure authorities national policy and international coordination. 2 program North Shore Railway Program Authority overall program management. 3 regional central Ethiopia/regional and local authorities land, local development, and coordination. 4 railway infrastructure/operator institutions construction, operation, and maintenance. 5 Port and maritime authorities port to rail integration. 6 finance ministry/financial institutions/development partners financing and financial oversight. 7 environmental authorities ESIA compliance and monitoring. 8 social development/resettlement institutions community participation and livelihood restoration. 9 private sector EPC contractors, operators, logistics companies, investors construction, operations, and commercial services. 10 independent oversight auditors/evaluators technical, financial and impact evaluation. 5 Decision gates. Gate approximate date. Decision go ahead condition. Gate 1 2030 proceed to detailed design. Feasibility plus demand plus ESIA acceptable. Gate 2 2035 proceed to major construction. Financing secured and land sufficiently prepared. Gate 3 2040 begin international expansion. Core railway performing satisfactorily. Gate 4 2045 expand to additional ports. Demonstrated demand, financing, and political agreements. Gate 5 2050 evaluate complete program economic, social, environmental and operational results assessed. Overall 2050 sequence 2026 to 2030, study downward arrow 2031 to 2035, design plus finance downward arrow 2036 to 2040, build core network downward arrow 2041 to 2045, connect international corridors downward arrow 2046 to 2050, integrate multi-port network downward arrow 2050. North Shore rightward arrow Debra Burhan rightward arrow National Railway rightward arrow Multiport Regional Logistics Network. The central principle is build the highest demand, highest feasibility corridor first, use performance results to decide the next corridor. This reduces the risk of committing billions of dollars to corridors before their freight demand, financing, and cross-border conditions are proven.